Welcome to the Wellness Made Easy podcast. Hi, I'm Larry Logsdon, and today I'm joined with Dr. Bob Mort, host of the largest weekend syndicated health talk show in America, with over 500 radio stations nationwide. In this episode, we're focusing on can Noni help you win the battle with cancer? We're going to hear from Carolyn Reese and her talking a little bit more about her 18-year success story. It's a tough but a necessary conversation for all of us to have about cancer. Is there more we can do beyond conventional treatments? Can natural remedies play a role in the recovery? Well, we're going to find out. Stick around as we explore all these important questions and more. We'll share the real stories and help you discover the solid steps you can take to support your health. Enjoy the show.
We're going to turn our attention to a topic that nobody really wants to talk about, but we should have that conversation. And I'm talking about the big C, and I do mean cancer. Everybody wants to avoid it. It's a word that is in our vocabulary that we just shudder to think about. It's frightening, especially when it hits home with your loved ones or yourself, but we still need to have that conversation. The question becomes, is it still within your power to avoid a cancer diagnosis? Now, everyone has heard the saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. But the latest stats showing that 1 in 2 Americans are now expected to get cancer in their lifetime. Whoa. Young adult cancers have gone up 79% in the last 10 years. Those are the latest statistics. And Americans may be discouraged from even trying to live a healthy life when hearing about these stats. We hear, of course, all the time, and we're encouraged to try to eat 7 to 9 servings of fresh and hopefully organic fruits and vegetables. We're told not to smoke cigarettes or use tobacco and don't become obese, because all of those and many other increase our risk of the big C. And you're less likely to get the big C if you don't do those things, that's for sure. But people are starting to believe that the risk of getting cancer is worse than ever. And the odds are stacked against dodging this brutal and mysterious disease. And how does conventional medicine, in large part, really address cancer? Well, it can be summed up in about 5 words, in my opinion. Fix it when it's broken, pretty much. In other words, there's very little that we do in conventional medicine to help people out, other than offering poisoning the cancer cells once it arrives with chemo, also poisoning healthy cells right alongside of it. Dose the body in radiation, try to burn cancer out of the body, but healthy cells get burned into cancer too, because we know that causes cancer, or surgically remove it, which is a big risk, because then you risk of spreading the cancer throughout the entire body. The only true cure for the big C, and I do mean cancer, exists in all of us and not outside of us. Yes, we are born with the ability to prevent and fight cancer should it occur, providing we can keep our bodies in balance physically, chemically, mentally, and emotionally. One such woman by the name of Carolyn Reese is a living testament to believing that we can have the power, we do have the power to recover from cancer if we can remove the impediments of our immune system working optimally. Now, I've asked Larry Logsdon to join us today to discuss the topic of cancer and share Carolyn Reese's remarkable story of recovery from cancer using a variety of unconventional tools that she used, including something called Morinda citrifolia, also known as noni fruit. Larry, I want to welcome you back to the program, and I want to also let people know that Larry is a functional food researcher specializing in medicinal properties and the benefits of exotic fruits. Larry founded Tahiti Trader Noni company in 1998. I invited him to discuss this because he is very well aware of Carolyn Reese's remarkable story. He brought an audio tape that he is going to share with us here during our interview so that you can see or at least hear from her words alone how she is doing after she got her cancer diagnosis. Larry, welcome back to the program, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Bob. How are you this morning?
I'm doing fantastic, and I appreciate you being here. Now, you brought with you a short audio clip with this remarkable lady, Carolyn Reese, and her amazing story of how she is personally beating cancer using unconventional means. We will play that audio tape a little bit later, Larry, but I wanted to start by asking you to give my listeners some tips for creating an environment that is hostile to cancer, if you would, please, sir.
Well, Dr. Bob, my dad used to preach that the human body is a walking, talking chemical factory. Give it what it needs, and it will heal, it will fight off maladies, and you'll find yourself enjoying a full life. We're a fireman family, so eat rainbow assortment of organic fruits and vegetables. That's really where it's at. Dad used to say, go with the seasons, go with the colors, and you're going to find yourself enjoying a long life, because those ingredients in those vegetable fruits are the ones doing the work. Your immune system fighting.
Sure. And obviously, we always here on this program recommend people go with organic fruits and vegetables when they can find them, always to try to avoid the toxins that are associated with the pesticides that end up on them if they're not organic. What else, Larry, besides that? That's a great starting point.
Well, that's where you want to start. And then the second thing to do is, if your diet is going to make the biggest difference in you being successful in fighting off these invaders, but you have to also take a look at where they come from. They come from exposure to pesticides, environmental toxins like plastics and heavy metals. And these are all carcinogens that the body has to fight off. And these fruits and vegetables the body uses to take the trash out. And it's a very important thing to do, folks. This is an easy thing to do, too, because it's not hard to figure out what pesticides are. If it doesn't say organic, it's got pesticides. Simple.
Mm-hmm. All right. And of course, Larry, there's also a lot of information now getting into the research annals about how red meat, we consume way too much of it. And if we were to supplant maybe some more of the omega-3 oils, maybe some healthy fish in our diet, that also reduces the risk, does it not?
Yes, I think that fresh fish is a real easy thing to do. It's not hard to get it anymore. And it can make a big, big difference, because today's food supply, and I'm talking about most red meats, most poultry that's out there, is full of chemicals. They have to use them, or they can't get those things to grow quick and to make them a buck quick. That's how it works. But folks, you can avoid that stuff. You can get yourself, take a look. There's lots and lots of farm-raised and fresh caught fish available. That's very, very good for you and tastes pretty darn good as well. And yes, it might cost you a little bit more. But what is your health worth? My dad used to say, it's priceless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Someone chooses to eat beef or poultry, at least try to find it in an organic source so that it's not doused in drugs before it gets to the marketplace. And I also want to mention that some of the other risks that I continue to see, Larry, because we're getting ready to go to a break, are staying away from sugar. Sugar is, a huge problem as it relates, because that's how cancer is fueled. And
right.
Too many people eat way too much junk food and candy and soft drink and that sort of thing. So I want to encourage our audience to think about these things, make better choices, know that the body is a self-cleansing machine, but if you plow into it all these unwanted foods that it cannot handle, something is going to eventually break down. All right, we're going to return to our special guest momentarily, ladies and gentlemen, talking about how this lady's story is remarkable. I'm Dr. Bob Martin. All right, we have with us a special guest, chemist and exotic fruits research scientist is with us, Larry Logsdon. He is the CEO of Tahiti Trader Noni. We're here today talking about how we're seeing a rise in levels of cancer, especially in young people that have never shown up before. And scientists and researchers are scratching their head wondering, why is this happening? So we decided to tackle that today. And Larry brought with him, which we're going to play in this interview, an audio clip of his interview of a lady who took charge of her health. She was diagnosed with cancer, and she said nothing doing on the medical care side of it long term. You'll hear her remarkable story, but in the first segment we just came out of, we were talking about some of the ways that you can, as a consumer, reduce your risk of the big C, such as eating more fresh fruits and vegetables, reducing your exposure to pesticides and environmental toxins, supplanting maybe more fish in the diet with those amazing good fats, the omega-3s, as opposed to the saturated fats, which can fuel increase in estrogen levels in the body, along with all the stuff that they put into the meat today. And, of course, staying away from sugar and junk food and, just making good choices about food and allowing your body to do what it's designed to do, to detoxify and get rid of the waste instead of accumulate it and have this toxic burden going on where something is bound to break. All right, back to our conversation with Larry Logsdon. Larry, I have a question for you. How does being overweight play a role in cancer?
Well, being overweight taxes the whole body, Dr. Bob. The biggest thing that's going on with that is that it contains a storage pot for just all the trash you don't want in your body. It has to be somewhere, and it finds itself into the fat stores. And of course, the fat stores are usually coming from the excess consumption of sugar. And this is just an ongoing feedback system, and it gets your body to go and ask for more sugar, more sugar, more sugar. And so the best thing is to get your weight under control by exercise and paying attention to what you eat.
Yeah, being overweight, ladies and gentlemen, you can look it up anywhere you like, is absolutely a risk factor for a number of cancers. What about stress, Larry? We all have it. We all deal with it on a daily basis, whether it is social stress or financial stress, emotional stress. I mean, it happens. How does stress increase the risk of the development of the big C?
Absolutely. It's conclusive. There is no doubt about it. Stress triggers proliferation of cancer cells. Here's how it works. Your body produces adrenaline and the corticosteroids that are related to fear and all those kinds of stimulus. And when they get into the bloodstream, they fire up. And you're going to find the cancer cells grow like crazy. It wants sugar. So cut the freaking sugar. Stop the fear. Stop those things. Start taking control of your lives. That's the key here, folks. Get under control, and you're going to find yourself in a much better, healthier place.
Yeah, I've also read, Larry, this stress is inflammatory. It just increases inflammation. We know inflammation's involved with cancer every single time, and all the autoimmune diseases, over 100 of those, stress is a factor there, and it's insidious. I mean, some people they understand it, and they try to do things to reduce it, but I think that's something that people really need to work on. What about, now you mentioned exercise. How does regular exercise, lower the risk of the big C?
Well, first of all, it burns up stored fats and energy, first things first. And it creates a reduction of stress because now you have to relax to exercise. You can't exercise stressed out. It doesn't work out very well. And this is an important thing because now afterwards you're going to sleep better and you're not going to be reaching for sugar. You're going to feel good. And that's what you want. You want to feel better about yourself. And the only way you can do this is do it yourself. It's going to help release endorphins, which is going to make you feel good. And this is what's going to fight cancer.
I think it's human nature to think that, I don't have cancer now. It's not going to affect me. But yet, when you look at the stats, Larry, you see 1 out of 2 Americans will face cancer sometime in their lives if they live long enough. And then we see these statistics now with young people. There's been a 79% increase in young people being diagnosed with cancer, it's just scary stuff. And I think a lot of people are starting to pay attention to it, and that's why we wanted to do this show. Larry, how big is the role of smoking and drinking alcohol in one's risk of developing cancer, so that people understand this? I think most people understand the smoking side of it, but they think, well, I can quit anytime I want, and therefore I won't get cancer. And they think, well, alcohol, a little bit of alcohol is fine, no problem there.
Well, that's just the problem. You know, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. The problem you have, folks, is that it's cumulative. And that is going to create long-term toxic loads. Now, the thing with cancer loves alcohol because alcohol is concentrated sugar. It says, give me some more. I want more of that stuff. And the same thing's true with smoking. It triggers these proliferation of cancer. You have to decide who's going to win here. The tobacco company and the soda pop company and the beer company, or you. And I suggest it be you.
Yeah, it's tough. I recognize that, you know, I've heard doctors say, well, everybody's addicted to something. You're going to be addicted to something. It could be food. It could be alcohol. It could be tobacco. It could be sugar. And so find your poison. No, I think that it is true. We human beings are prone to addiction, but I think the key is helping to educate people, Larry, as to knowing that they can reduce their risk going forward, just like we take good care of our cars and parts of inanimate objects, because if we don't, it's going to break down. And when it breaks down, it could get really expensive and it has to be replaced. Well, the human body, you know, when we're talking about cancer and that, you can't go in and just, okay, let's replace your liver. No, that doesn't work that way. Or your lungs. Oh, no. All right, Larry, we're going to take a break and come back. And we're going to play in the next segment, ladies and gentlemen, this audio clip of this remarkable story of Carolyn Reese. Stay tuned. I'm Dr. Bob Martin. Now, we're interviewing Larry Logsdon, who is a chemist, an exotic researcher in fruits. He's a scientist. He's also the CEO of Tahiti Trader Noni. We're talking about the subject, a very stressful subject to even hear about cancer, because nobody wants to discuss it really. Nobody wants to consider ever having it, yet the statistics tell us that more and more young people are getting it. 1 out of 2 people will face it sometime in their lives. That's what the stats say. And we're giving some practical things and simple things that you can do, or at least think about doing, in your plight to reduce your risk of this brutal disease that we know little or nothing about. And so we're getting to the area where I'm going to ask our producer to play a short audio clip of Larry Logsdon, our guest, interviewing one Carolyn Reese, who is successful at beating cancer using unconventional means. And I want you to listen very closely to what she is doing, what she did in order to help her. And then we'll have Larry comment about it on the other side. Go.
Hey, good morning, Miss Carolyn. How are you? It's Larry at Tahiti Trader. My girls here in the office tell me they've been talking to you, and I hear you're doing well with your cancer treatments.
I certainly am. Doing fantastic.
Love to hear a little bit about it and how noni juices fit into that.
Well, let me start by saying this. Both my parents were diagnosed with cancer, and they sought the traditional cancer treatment in MD Anderson. Mm-hmm. And mother asked her doctor a very crazy but on-point question. She said, "Does anyone ever get out of here alive?" And he said, "Certainly they do." She said, "But are they standing up?" So I had been researching, the natural route, which is the only way that I was going to consider it. One of its benefits was that for inhibiting tumor growth and proliferation, and it allows your body then, because of the great immune system that God gave us, to do its job and bring about healing. So.
Wow. So you helped your mom and your dad, it sounds like, with their cancer treatment. It was a conventional way.
It was.
But you weren't happy with the outcome.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. She was just ready to not do that. And so they both passed within 3 months apart.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
And when did you find that you were diagnosed with cancer?
January 2000, June of 2006.
So you decided to go the natural route, and then must have stunned your doctors.
Oh, absolutely. So, they pressured me, and I said, no, I'm not going to do that. It was fantastic. It's been, since 2006.
That's awesome. So you started drinking noni juice as part of your treatment, and you had more than likely a osteopathic type doctor?
I did. And followed his protocol.
Well, I'm glad it's working out well for you. I hear other conversations from other people. One gal in particular I just remembered the other day called. Her mother has brain cancer, and they wanted to go in and see if they could do something with it. And she started on the heavy dosages of noni. And, of course, in 3 months, her scans were showing it had just it shrunk by 60%. And then obviously she's on the right track. And I guess you did the same sort of thing. How long did it take for you to see it was making a difference for you?
Within a month, I was seeing a difference.
And so now it's been 18 years since you were originally diagnosed, and you've been living a high-flying life, I'm hearing. And I understand that that you don't even look anywhere near the years that they have on your driver's license.
Well, it starts from the inside, what you put in you, and radiates to the outside. It starts with diet, noni juice, proper medications, vitamins, things like that. It definitely starts with what you eat, eating fruits and vegetables, the noni juice.
You look like you're probably in your 50s or something. I'm so happy it's working out well for you.
Our bodies are pre-programmed to heal, and that's how God made our immune system.
So you've been using our island style noni juice? Have you tried other brands of noni out there?
Larry, I have at the local health food stores, and they're just nothing to compare. So I stopped purchasing those and have stayed with your brand.
Well, thank you so much for taking some time out today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, there you have the interview with Larry Carolyn Reese there. Amazing. Now, obviously, we're not suggesting that there is a panacea for anything, never a one-trick pony. You can find Tahiti Trader Noni Juice at find your health food stores nationwide. GNC, Sprouts, Vitamin Shop, find your health food stores, or TahitiTrader.com. We'll have our finishing comments with Larry Logsdon right after this. I'm Dr. Bob Martin. Boy, that's an amazing story, Larry, that when I hear Carolyn Reese talk about this 18 years later. Now, obviously, she's under the care of a doctor, and she's doing a lot of other things, but she's including the Tahiti Trader Noni Juice and believes that's a strong part of how she is helping to manage her health and keep her improvement going on. After 18 years, most of the time with medical care, if you go complete medical care, scorched earth, cut, burn, poison, most people don't even make it out of there, as her mother pointed out when she was down at MD Anderson. I thought that was an interesting thing. Is there any scientific studies, Larry, that show or prove that noni juice may help someone reduce their risk of getting cancer, or maybe help them feel better if they already have it?
Absolutely. There's lots of scientific research that shows that noni has anti-tumor agents and shown to stimulate the immune system, which does all the fighting for you. That's the problem. The immune system's weak, and noni juice helps you get that turned on.
All right. And for those people who are going to be going in and out of this conversation, you can find Tahiti Trader Noni at finer health food stores nationwide, GNC, Sprouts, Vitamin Shop, their website for more information beyond this interview, TahitiTrader.com, TahitiTrader.com, or you can call them at 800-842-5309. Larry, are there different types of noni juice, and what does it taste like?
Well, there are two varieties. There is the island style. This is the stuff pretty rough for most people, but it is the medicinal. It's what's really going to kick your booty, so to speak. You're going to find yourself getting some really great, fast results because this stuff is like medicine. And that's something that Carolyn is using.
Well, Larry, people with cancer would want that, though. They want the stuff that's potent because they have a brutal disease going on inside them, or they don't want it. Makes sense to me.
Absolutely. But there are some people who say, well, I want the stuff that tastes really good. We have one of those, and it's our original blended noni with blueberry and ice. You'll love it. It doesn't have as much horsepower in it, but it will get you started. I always recommend moving to the island style. Always.
Yeah, I'm the kind of guy that I want the therapeutic stuff. How about any adverse side effects of somebody taking noni juice, Larry? Yes or no?
No adverse. The only side effect is they'll gut feel better. I mean, now.
And how much do people need to consume on a daily basis of Tahiti Trader Noni juice?
For maintenance, Dr. Bob, we recommend 2 ounces, 1 ounce in the morning and 1 ounce in the evening.
Oh, okay. That seems very, and folks, we take it here in the Dr. Bob Martin household, just so you know, in our smoothie in the morning, which we got a lot in there too. You can find out more about this beyond this conversation at TahitiTrader.com. Tahiti Trader Noni juice is available at GNC, Sprouts, Vitamin Shoppe, food stores. Larry, thank you very much for joining us, sir. Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Dr.
Ladies
Bob.
and gentlemen, stand by. We'll be right back. I'm Dr. Bob Martin.
Thank you for tuning in to the Wellness Made Easy podcast. Be sure to follow us on social media and visit TahitiTrader.com for more insights and resources too. Take charge of your wellness journey, and we'll see you next time on Wellness Made Easy. Have a wonderful day.